Hello and welcome to Eco Girl in a Modern World. My name is Shelley and my channel is dedicated to talking about how to be eco-friendly in a modern context. It has been a while. I really appreciate the time off. I hope everyone had a good holiday season and a good start to the new year. And today's video, I actually had intended to do a different topic, and I've decided to go ahead and save that topic for Valentine's Day. There was an upcycling, fashion, clothing upcycle, like repurpose type of video that I wanted to do. And I was inspired by another channel here on YouTube. But I'm going to save that since it kind of plays into Valentine's Day, so I'm going to save that for a few weeks from now. But I did have something else kind of happen on the first day of the new year that kind of gave me inspiration for today's video. And today we're going to talk about electronics. Now, what happened on the 1st of January is I was really excited about the new year. It's always a little bit tough in January because, again, I've mentioned before, once the holidays are kind of over and you start getting into the real cold days of winter, it can feel really gray. It can feel, the days are short, it's really cold out. You can't always get out and walk the way that you always want to. So sometimes it can feel a little bleak, right? But day one, you always go into it with good intentions, setting your resolutions, deciding how this year is going to be exciting and new. And as it goes, the first day, I broke my alarm clock. I actually had several tech issues happen the first day of January. There was two other things. I needed to replace a light bulb. A light bulb had gone out. I needed to fix something on a laptop stand. And then, as things go, sometimes things break in threes. I was vacuuming and I was pulling out my nightstand and I thought, oh, okay, everything was removed from the nightstand except for my alarm clock. And what happened was I kind of hit the alarm clock. I hit the nightstand with the vacuum cleaner, and then the alarm clock toppled off and actually hit me square in the foot, which did not feel good. But I honestly hurt the alarm clock more than I hurt myself. So when I plugged the alarm clock back in, the display was all scrambled. So I rang its bell pretty good. And the funny thing is, the alarm clock that I assaulted, I've actually had it for more than 10 years. I've had it since the late 90s. And it's kind of this just kind of round alarm clock. And it was just always the perfect shape, perfect size. And what I really liked about it is the fact that I'm kind of a deep sleeper. So, just setting, I need a really alarm-like kind of sound to wake me up. It can't be the little chirping birds or chimes. That doesn't work with me. I will sleep right through that. I won't even turn it off. I'll just sleep through it. So I really need kind of the awooga, like the fireman's drill to get me up. And this alarm clock had that, right? The other thing, it was kind of small, it was kind of rounded, so it fit kind of perfectly, right to the side of my nightstand up against the adjacent bookcase. And it just didn't take up a whole lot of space. So I was really just kind of like, oh man, why did I have to, knock out my alarm clock, right? So this really started out to be an adventure, an eco-adventure, if you will. So I decided to go ahead and make this post about electronics, which is important. Now, first and foremost, when it comes to alarm clocks, I'm going to touch on a little new ageism. In my room, I actually do adhere to something called Feng Shui. Feng Shui is an organization where the placement of furniture and the colors and kind of the theme of where you place things. It's believed in Feng Shui that everything has energy and that, movement or energy kind of flows around your furniture, around your stuff. so to speak. And I don't get real stringent. Like Feng Shui can get as, as detailed as like taking a compass and seeing which way is north, which way is south. I don't go that far with it, but what I do is when you walk into a room, you can just kind of map out in your head what they call a gua, what area pertains to what area, right? And when it comes to clocks in general, and I know this sounds kind of woo-woo, it's kind of new age, but that it's kind of true. It kind of plays into environmentalism too, because with environmentalism, you don't really want to buy electronics that you don't need. Right? One of the biggest problems with waste is that, a lot of electronics, especially televisions and alarm clocks and any technical gadget that you have, is going to be created using some pretty toxic materials. Like inside of cell phones, there is mercury, there is chromium, there's cadmium, there's all these things that we mine for and that we use. And it does kind of make us more mindful, if you're of the mentality, oh, okay, I'm just going to trade in my phone every 6 months. That is, you can't just throw your phone away. If you just throw a phone into a landfill, if you just throw a TV or an alarm clock when it breaks into a landfill, it's going to be seeping really toxic chemicals. Now, I was very proud, my landfill, my recycling center actually collects electronics. They put out, bulletins that say, hey, your alarm clock, your television, it contains these things. Do not just throw it away. Bring it here to the recycling center, and we have a separate collection area for those items. Also in my donations video, you can also donate. You can find donation centers that take electronics. Like there's a major city near where I live where I had in my household, we had switched out our alarm system, and the old alarm parts, which, same thing, has mercury, has cadmium, has chromium, has all those materials inside of it. I didn't, that's not just getting thrown away. I could have taken it to a recycling center, or you can take it to other collection areas that could reuse it. And again, things like alarm systems, that's not really going to retain your, you can wipe the memory clean of any electronics before you donate them, but they can definitely find a new home or a new purpose without necessarily having to be recycled. So that's really our goal. When you deal with electronics, you want to use it up, wear it out. The TV you see behind me was a gift to me from my family, but the TV that preceded it, I still have. There's adapters that you can plug into the back of an older TV to make it a smart TV. So it's not like you have to, the rule of thumb is that you don't have to upgrade a gadget just because it breaks, we'll get to that with the broken alarm clock, but just because you're not, the newest, greatest model is out, you don't necessarily have to upgrade if you feel like you can use it longer. It just seems like, just like with cars and everything else, it seems like we want the bigger, badder thing. And unless it's really serving some kind of purpose that your previous device does not, it's really wasteful to just, continuously upgrade your equipment all the time. Or, the moment you move, you throw it away and get a new one. That's very wasteful. So you always want to buy secondhand. You always want to use it up, wear it out. And you always want to make sure that if you do need to dispose of something that's broken or, that can't be used anymore, that you do it properly. So those really bad chemicals are not going back out in the world. The other thing that's always really eye-opening, well, we'll get to that in a minute. So I totally rang my alarm clock's bell really badly. It had a scrambled screen, and I was like, oh, I broke it bad, right? And I'll actually post one video down at YouTube, from YouTube down below. I actually, I YouTubed it a little bit thinking, okay, hey, could I fix it, And it's funny, a lot of times things will break and we think, oh, just throw it away. And that's another mindset that you kind of want to get away from. You might be able to fix it, and good old University of YouTube, And I actually watched a video that talked about how displays, basically there's little sensors in the front of the alarm clock that, when it hit the floor, when it hit my foot, might have gotten jarred a little bit, where it's not, the sensors that display the time are not touching properly. So you can, channel your inner engineer, grab a little screwdriver, one of the little screwdrivers you use to fix your glasses or something, unscrew the face of the alarm clock and see if you can repair it yourself. Right? That is possible. And I am going to try to do that. I'm going to see, you're going to see the solution that I had to go to in the meantime. I had to work around for right now, but I am going to see if I can still fix that alarm clock because it was a good alarm clock. The other thing is it's more than 3 decades old and it worked so well. So that is one thing. It was funny the moment that I dropped, the moment I broke it, I kind of put a post up on my social media saying, okay, and this is how I am. I'm environmental. I'm like, is there such a thing as a digital repair place? And I know that's so antiquated. I remember I had a film camera from 1978 and I actually found one really random repair guy who fixes vintage cameras in his spare time. So it does exist. It's just it's kind of sad. It's an artisanship that's no longer that seems to be a dying kind of art. Fixing things instead of and it's funny, you'd be amazed how many replies, even kind of from my own family even said that it's cheaper just to buy a new one, just let it go, right? And and no one said throw it away, you can always recycle it, but I'm just, that was the purpose of this video. Is I thought, okay, what, can it be repaired? Can I repair it? And it probably, granted, when you can go into a store and actually I did go into, I checked out Target, I checked out Walmart, which I absolutely dread doing because they're big box stores, and I'm not faulting anyone, but big conglomerate department, retail stores. And the funny thing is I went in there and I looked, and their alarm clocks were not bad. They were not bad, but I didn't see any of the name brands that, like I think the clock that I had, it was either a Magnavox or a Sharp. They did have a few Sharp clocks, but then they had a bunch of different brands that I didn't really recognize. The other thing is at Walmart, they were very cheap looking. They looked very, very cheap. Even the kind of more expensive, like it ranged anywhere from like $7 to $24, which, again, if I actually did find a repairman, he probably would have charged me, It's funny, I've repaired a lamp that probably cost me $20 at Target, and it cost me $35 to repair it. So it is not cheap. Again, my family member was right. It probably costs you more to repair it. I just don't want it to go into a landfill. But it was funny, going into Walmart was very eye-opening. It was like they looked really cheap, even the more expensive ones, and even in your mid-range stores like Target, Target's supposed to be just as cost-effective as Walmart, but a little bit little classier in the selection that you have. But their clocks didn't look really well made either. It didn't seem like any of the names I recognized, and I know I'm old. But but that's the other hallmark of quality, is when you see a name that's known for their long lastingness. And I looked at it and I wasn't really impressed, and I honestly did not want to replace it. I didn't want to recycle it. It was a good clock. It just had an accident. I hope I didn't kill it, but so it put me on an adventure. So I am gonna watch some of these videos. I'm gonna channel my inner Tony Stark and see if I can fix the clock. But in the meantime, I needed an alarm clock. And again, for just like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I know a lot of people talk about just setting your cell phone. I did set my cell phone just as a contingency for the first couple days because I needed, and it worked, but I wasn't, again, the cell phone just doesn't work for me. The other thing that you're going to see in a minute, there's something called EMFs, electromagnetic fields, that you really don't want to have on your bedside. So I don't really like leaving my phone on all night long, both for the longevity of the phone and for the fact that it can emit EMFs. And we'll talk about them again in a minute. So, relying on my phone, that was a good, middleman plan. But what I did, and this was funny, back in May of 2023, I was at the thrift store and I saw this alarm clock from the late 70s, early 80s, and I really liked it. And believe me, I always, anytime I get an instinct, for some reason, I have a good instinct when somebody, when I get that instinct that says, hey, go ahead and buy this, I've learned to not question it. Because even though I think, okay, I'm not going to use this, why do you need me to buy it? I have absolutely no purpose for this right now. I have a working alarm clock, blah, blah, blah. The moment that I get that ping, I listen to my Rice Krispies, right? The moment I get that ping that says, you're going to need this, go ahead and get it. Go ahead and get it. So I did. And it was really neat, guys. First off, it was made in Japan, which, from me growing up, everything that I've seen made, not to knock things made in China or made in Taiwan. You can get quality products made anywhere in the world. But I've always noticed that, especially from that time period, late 70s, early 80s, the things crafted in Japan are usually very, very well made. And so it did have wood laminate paneling. It looks like a straight out of the 70s thing, but and it had a turn dial radio on it. And the display has a dimmer, so you can go light or dark, and I'll talk about that again in a minute. And it has an alarm on it, and it's these hard switches on the back of the alarm clock. It's kind of neat. But I decided to go ahead and buy it just as a backup. I thought, I'm looking to move soon, so I thought, okay, worst case scenario, I can have it as a radio in my kitchen, which it might still serve that purpose if I can fix the other alarm clock. But in the meantime, I went ahead and put it on my side table. Now, it is definitely bulkier, it's bigger, it's wider, so I couldn't put it in the same position, but what I can do is I put it towards the back of my nightstand, and the neat thing is that I can kind of pivot it. I can move it forward when needed, and I can set the timer. And guys, it's the nice thing also that I liked about this. I was nervous at first because I was just like, oh gosh, this is different from my other alarm clock. It's not as small, it's not as compact, but there was a lot of pros to it. The pros in here, I'll compare in a minute. Now, when it comes to alarm clocks, there's a few things that you want to talk about. First off, again, I know a lot of people, and I know I'm old school in even having an alarm clock. A lot of people don't even have them anymore. They rely on their phone. And again, no harm, no foul if you rely on your phone. But what I like about alarm clocks is that, first off, in Feng Shui and actually in just healthy living, they talk about this a lot. You don't even, if you just subscribe to a kind of a Zen, or, if you have trouble sleeping at night too, these are habits. They talk a lot about placements of clocks, especially in Feng Shui and other things, is that anytime you have a clock anywhere, it's going to be a reminder of time. And it's interesting, they talk a lot about that, because when you have a reminder of time, that kind of, has a literal subconscious meaning. Reminder of time can mean that, okay, you've been here too long, or time is running out, or it can be put in a place where you're thinking, oh, okay, I have 5 minutes to get out the door, I'm going to be late for work, right? So in Feng Shui, they always say that the best place, the best room to have a clock is in the living room. They believe that the living room, or the place that the most people congregate in your household, is the one and only place that you really should have a clock. We'll talk about alarm clocks in a minute, which is a different animal. But a main clock, just to check the time, they always say the living room, or the main, or if it's a kitchen, a main central congregating space where all of the family members, meet, because where people congregate is what they call yang energy. It's active energy. So if you are going to have a clock somewhere, you want it to be where you're active, right? The other thing is that they talk about that they kind of like those mantle clocks, and you've probably seen it, there's a name for them, but that kind of rounded clock where it's kind of flat on the bottom and then has a round top, and they're kind of small, and they're just like the perfect size. They usually put them over fireplaces, really, and so you can see it, and it's got a soft chime. That's one other thing they talk about, is that you don't want a clock that's so loud that you can hear it tick, because, and it's funny, I actually had this, I got a clock at work for an anniversary, and it's a beautiful clock. I still have it. It's actually behind me, it doesn't have a battery in it right now, because when I put a battery in it, it ticks really loud and I can hear it. And that's another principle with Feng Shui that I kind of noticed. And I was like, okay, is that bad qi? That's what they talk about in Feng Shui. They call it good qi or bad qi. Because bad qi is kind of the energy that kind of drains you. And then good qi is the positive energy that flows gently or contributes to the purpose of that room or that space, that living space, right? And so, of course, living rooms, kitchens, that contributes to active energy. So having a clock there, especially when you're checking the time to see, you know, of who needs to do what. But a ticking clock is actually not a good thing. So if you do get an alarm clock that ticks, you know, and that's another thing, if you want to get one of those old school round ones that are metal with bells, you know, first off, they're very loud. Otherwise, the other thing is you can hear them ticking. And believe it or not, hearing a ticking clock is and it's funny, I proved this with the clock that I got, which is a beautiful clock. I could probably use that in my living room, but I can't have it. I just couldn't have it in my bedroom because I could hear it. And ticking clocks are a sign that time's passing, and you really can tell. You feel like time's getting away from you because it's like tick, 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 and it's just, you just notice it. Right? And I did consider that bad qi. I don't think it would be bad qi if I keep it in like a living room in the future. So I'm definitely holding on to it, and it's a beautiful, you know, gift. The other thing is that a clock should really be as close to eye level. It shouldn't be too high or too low. So if a clock is in your kitchen or living room, that's why being on a fireplace mantle is good, because even if you have a variance of heights between all of the family members, it usually you don't want time to be above you, and you don't want time to be below you. You want to be on eye level with it. I know that sounds really funny. And you know, and honestly, the type of clock that you use in Feng Shui, they relate to elements in different areas of the room, but we won't go there. Now, when it comes to alarm clocks, and this is funny, when I told several friends and coworkers about what happened to my alarm clock, and I got a lot of feedback about it, so people have opinions about it. Alarm clocks are very controversial because, again, first off, when you are trying to get better sleep, it is highly encouraged that you not have any electronics in your room, especially not in your bedroom. The reason for this is for twofold. First off, electronics, especially screens, you know, phones, televisions, and, you know, alarm clock displays, they emit blue light. Blue screen. You've probably heard of blue screens. And blue screens are very bad on the eyes. Now, what it is, and it's funny, I even mentioned this, so talking about alarm clock displays, when I told my coworkers that, hey, I might be in the market for a new alarm clock, it was really interesting. The first thing I had everyone say is get one with a red or orange display, because that's easier on the eyes. Well, you know, the funny thing is, and it's true, when you look it up, blue or blue light, you know, blue displays, actually, the reason that the blue light over time can start to deteriorate your eyes, because what it is blue is a soft light, and it goes straight to the back of your eye, like your eye opens, your pupil opens bigger, and it goes straight back to the back of your eye. So prolonged exposure can start to strain your eyes and can cause eye problems later. This is proven. But the crazy thing is that, you know, I've never been a big fan of red or orange displays on alarm clocks, just because red feels kind of active to me. You know, it's so funny. We start to get into like what colors mean, you know, with that, because, you know, red is for stoplights, green means go, red means stop, at least in, you know, in the United States. And then, you know, and then blue is kind of like that soft kind of calming color. But blue screens, like computer screens and television screens, if you are looking, and I'm guilty of this, looking at your phone while you're in bed for hours on end, that is discouraged if you are in Feng Shui when you are in your bedroom. And it is also discouraged a lot by a lot of sleeping advisors who say don't do that. So, you know, the funny thing is the alarm clock that I broke had a green display. And the new one, well, the vintage one that I replaced it with, the one that from the 70s, 80s, has a blue display. And I really liked that. And it wasn't that I was discarding the feedback that my coworker gave. It's just I'm not a real big fan of red displays. I know the red is easier on the eyes, and actually orange would probably be the best, like that amber color, that probably be the best for eye health. But I don't think that's a big deal with alarm clocks. I really like blue better. Just because red kind of feels, I don't know, maybe I'm a child of the 80s, but watching all those movies, I just feel like red looks really kind of like an angry color. It feels a little harsh to me. It also looks like you're putting in you're putting in the launch codes for something really detrimental, like the launch codes for missiles or something. So maybe again, I didn't mind the green. My favorite color is blue. And, the other thing is, I don't think, I'm guilty. Anytime you're staring at a phone, a cell phone screen this close to your face, you're going to be getting blue light anyway. The fact that the vintage alarm clock that I have there has blue letters, there is a dimmer, so it's not full blast blue. It's softer in the evening, so it's not real bright. The other thing is that the length of the radio now, I can pivot it where I don't even have to see it at all, and it is eye level when I'm in bed. So I'm adhering to all the rules. So I do really like the fact that it's blue. And the fact that I didn't have to buy it, that I bought it vintage, and it's a much better quality than what I could have gotten new. And it's been working. It's been working great. Now, the last thing that kind of comes into consideration, so, again, buying pre-owned, it was really alarming how many variations, just like with clothing, and we talk a lot about clothes, we mass produce a lot of stuff. And it was a little scary. It's funny, the alarm clock that I broke, I remember buying it back in the 90s, and back then you probably had a choice of about 4 different alarm clocks. I walked into Walmart, and you look on Amazon, you have a choice of about 12 different kinds. And I just really do feel like we're consuming so much that, you've got little ones, you got vintage ones, you got ones that look like this, you got ones that have this display, that display. And I don't know. I know that, with personal choice, you want, if I wasn't able to find a replacement that suited me, I would probably be mad. But I just feel like just like everything else, we kind of give ourselves way too much choice with this stuff. And it's just so easy for us to discard and replace rather than try to fix or repair or buy vintage to replace it. So, the last thing that kind of goes in line with the blue light, which you do need to be careful with, and I'm guilty. I shouldn't, talk, as much as we're talking about whether or not to have, a blue display or green display. I kind of, real quick, I was laughing at that display discussion because I was like, okay, the clock that broke had green, and I didn't mind the green, but I really like the blue much better. And it's so funny, I've been watching a lot of Star Wars movies, and I've taken the online test, which lightsaber color is yours. And I've always loved the blue lightsaber. I think I just love the color blue. But every single time I took the test, I kept getting that green is my lightsaber cover, because I'm apparently more diplomatic. When you have the blue lightsaber, you're supposed to be better at combat or better at swordplay. And apparently I'm not. I'm a guardian, so I'm a green lightsaber. I'm sorry, not to go off on a tangent, but that was funny. So I was like, wow, they keep giving me green, even though I want blue. And I don't know. I think I'm a pretty good swordsman. I mean, hey, my sister and I used to duel with bamboo sticks growing up. Also those paper rolls from, left over from, Christmas wrap. I use reusable wrap now. I don't do that anymore, but anyway, I digress. The last thing that you have to worry about with alarm clocks that go hand in hand with blue light, particularly blue light, and it's the blue light screens, is first off, one thing that you can do is there are glasses. Like I have a pair of readers that are for up close reading that are blue resistant. So you can get a coating on your glasses if you wear glasses that help filter out blue light, and that's easier on your eyes. The other thing is that you can do is that you can just be mindful. Again, it's that's one reason why turning off your phone at night and not using your phone as your alarm is good, for two reasons. First off, if you do use your alarm, your phone as an alarm, you'll be tempted you'll have to leave it on all night long, so it's on at the time that your alarm needs to go off. But then it's sitting right next to your nightstand or in bed with you. I mean, believe me, I have nieces that sleep with their phone under their pillow, and first off, you'll be very tempted to, read articles, watch YouTube videos until the wee hours of the morn, and that's going to be blue light that's very close to your face. The other thing that electronics emit that is we're going to talk about that with alarm clocks, is they do also emit something called EMFs. And EMF is electromagnetic fields. Electromagnetic fields is a low-level type of radiation, and this isn't to freak anyone out, because I know we've talked a lot about radiation, especially in like the Halloween post. But anytime electricity is going through a cord, or powering a device, that is going to emit an EMF. So electromagnetic fields are all over your house. And in Feng Shui, that's why it always encourages you to have as few electronic devices, especially in your room, your bedroom, your sleeping space, as possible. And I'm a hypocrite because I have a TV in my room. So, and that'll change. I'm hoping in the future that I'm going to move away from that and really make my living space as electronic free as possible. Now, what happens is the moment that you plug in, especially when you plug in your phone, and you probably see that you have those fast charger kind of plugs, that is going to emit electromagnetic fields. And if you have your phone under your pillow or that close to you, you are getting yourself within the range of electric, exposure. Now, of course, modern devices have very low EMFs. They're supposed to, but there is also ways that you can limit it. There are meters you can buy, just like a Geiger counter, that you can kind of go around your house to see if there's bigger fields than others. That was a concern with the vintage alarm clock that I replaced mine with, because, modern electronics use less, they're more Energy Stars. So if they're using less electricity, then the chance of that EMF is going to be, a lower emission. But, it kind of just is what it is. Anytime that device is plugged in, it's going to be pulling power, even if it's turned off. My vintage record player, I try to unplug it when it's not in use, because, and this goes to save you money on your electric bill too, because even if it's not turned on, it is pulling a little bit of juice. The other thing is, if you have more than one device, and believe me, I'm on a computer that pulls a lot of juice. I have speakers that are plugged in that are a second separate power outlet. You have speakers, you have, surround sound, you have your camera, you have your microphone. If you are plugging, you kind of want to look at all the plugs that you're using, because every single one of those power cords is going to be a source of a different electromagnetic field. Now, EMFs are known to be carcinogenic, but the thing is that your whole home is full with it. It's nowhere in your home is safe if you go near but that's the reason why you don't watch television this close, and that's why you shouldn't really have your phone this close to your face, or you shouldn't be holding your phone while it's plugged into those superpower chargers. So that was a consideration with the older alarm clock. I thought, okay, how much juice is going to be constantly plugged in? But, when I think about it, you just look at your power cord. If your power cord is just the standard power cord, it's probably going to have the same amount of EMF as anything else. The biggest rule of thumb is that if you're not using it, so things like my CD player, my record player, when it is not in use, I unplug it. Power down, unplug it. It saves you electricity, and it's not emitting any EMFs. So that is something to consider too. And granted, blue light, it's kind of everywhere that you look. You just kind of want to distance yourself from it. I actually have a new age friend who believes that putting obsidian next to like certain stones, and this is not scientifically proven at all, but I respect her opinion. It is kind of mind over matter, that either putting copper kind of blocks EMFs. So I have seen people, and this is up to you, that they take just like kind of a plate of copper and put it especially near next to your router, because your router is transmitting, you know, signals throughout the house. You don't want that. You don't want that in your bedroom. You don't want that next to your alarm clock or anything like that. But also, it's good to put it next to televisions and other really kind of high, potentially high emissions. And here, I'll even show you. Hold on one second. It's funny. And again, you know, this might be just some woo-woo superstition, but I kind of believe it works. But I kind of have a big chunk of obsidian or jet or what's the third name for it? But if you just kind of put this next to the electronic devices that emit the most, you will see in the picture I have stones, but those aren't for the purpose of EMFs. They're more for the purpose of just peaceful dreams and good sleep. But yeah, so that was kind of my adventure, you know. I don't want to buy a cheap new alarm clock. I want to use it up, make it last. I am going to see if I can fix my other one and then maybe put the replacement one back in storage. We'll see. I'm actually very pleased with it. The alarm itself is actually really nice. It's not like that, you know, it's not the fireman's alarm, like, it almost sounds like a high-pitched kind of twittering, and it's kind of soft. It kind of sounds like, it almost sounds like of the hum of radio not being in tune. It's like, and it kind of, I really notice it without it being too loud. And it's funny, you know, the other members of my household appreciate that because I'm not waking everyone up, but I can still hear it. And it's eye level. It's a beautiful blue lightsaber color, and it works really well. And I'm really glad that I got it. And I'll let you know how it goes. I mean, if it comes down to it, I'm going to see if I can repair, and I'll try to post an update. I'll see if I can repair my other one, and then if that happens, I'll just put the vintage one back in storage, and we'll again. The radio on it works really well. It's kind of neat. It's a little turn dial radio, so I can also listen to the radio anytime, and it's really nice. I feel like it's quality, and it really is good to use it up, make it last. And in the future, if I ever do get one of those detectors to see about EMF, you know, that's always good to do, you know, to get a tester for radon in your home, because radon is a natural occurring thing, but electromagnetic fields is another thing to consider. And also, you know, it does just kind of, this experience has made me mindful. And, you know, in my eco journey, I'm trying not to, you know, I'm trying to buy secondhand. I'm trying to use it up, wear it out, not buy anything I don't need. But I'm also mindful of, you know, how many gadgets I have. You know, do I need to have so much electronics in my living space, and is it being used? So I just wanted to talk on that, and I thought that was interesting. And of course, same thing goes. You know, please let me know if you've had any experiences like this. Have you, have you had a alarm clock or a television or, you know, something break that you really just tried to repair? Were you able to find a repair person? Was it easy for you? And, you know, what was your solution to try to create less waste in the world? But I thank you so much for joining me. Again, we're going to save the other topic for Valentine's Day. And I hope that you're having a good start to the year. And I'll see you next time. Bye.